All right, let's look at factoring some trinomials. Now let's do just a little bit of review first. The first thing I want to look at is this. When we had x minus 6 times x plus 2, we do what we call FOIL. First, x times x is x squared. Outside, x times positive 2 is a positive 2x. Inside, negative 6 times x is negative 6x. And last, negative 6 times positive 2 is negative 12. The 2 in the middle, because they're both x's, they are like terms and you can combine them. A positive 2 and a negative 6 makes a negative 4. So our final answer is x squared minus 4x minus 12. Now what's going to happen in this lesson is they're going to give you the answer and ask you to come up with the first part. And that's called factoring. So let's start with part A. It says x squared plus 2x minus 35. Now the first step to factoring is to take out the common factor. They have nothing in common. So we have to keep going and try something different. We have 3 things there. When you have 3 things, the best thing to do is to start out with 2 sets of parentheses here. Now we know that to get an x squared, you have to do x times x. So we can put those in. Now remember, the outside term is this last term here. So I want to figure out what numbers multiply to be negative 35. So when I'm looking at that, I have to list everything. Unless you can do this in your head, you need to list them all. I can get negative 1 times positive 35, positive 1 times negative 35, positive 5 times negative 7, and negative 5 times positive 7. Those are the only numbers that add to be, or excuse me, multiply to be a negative 35. Now what we want to do is place those in here and see what will give us that positive 2 in the middle. Remember, to get the number in the middle, that's when you multiply the outside and the inside and you put them together. So let's try the first one. If I put a negative 1 here and a positive 35 over here and I go to multiply those, I end up with a positive 35 on the outside and a negative 1 on the inside. And when I add that together, that adds to a positive 34. But I'm looking for a positive 2. So that didn't work. So I need to try some others. If I switch these 2 around and I put the negative 1 here and the positive 35 there, I'm still going to get positive 34. But let's go down here and look at this one. If I put negative 5 here and I put a positive 7 here and I multiply, on the outside I get a positive 7x. On the inside here I get a negative 5x. And when you add those 2 together, that gives me a positive 2x. So that's the one that I need. If I were to FOIL this, I would end up with the equation in part A, and that is our goal. So the answer would be this piece. Now remember, if you put x plus 7 first and x minus 5 second, that's the same thing and it's not a problem. Let's look at part B. R squared plus 8r plus 12. First step, can you take anything out? I have nothing in common, so I can't do that. I have 3 things here, so I need to start with 2 sets of parentheses. So let's look at this. First of all, to get r squared, it's going to be r times r. Okay? Next, I want to look at this positive 12 on the end. There are several ways to get a positive 12. I can do a negative 1 times a negative 12, positive 1 times positive 12, negative 2 times negative 6, positive 2 times positive 6, negative 3 times negative 4, positive 3 times positive 4. What I would want to do is place those in there and see which ones that give me the positive 8. And what I'm actually looking for is which one's going to add to positive 8. And it's going to be this one. Let's try it. If I put a 2 here and a 6 here, they are both positive. We don't want the negatives because that would give us a negative 8. On the outside, I get 6r. On the inside, when I multiply, I get 2r. And that does add to 8r, which gives me the middle term. So the answer they would want would be r plus 2 times r plus 6. You can put the r plus 6 first if you'd like, and the r plus 2 second. Now let's look at the next one. M squared plus 6m plus 7. Step number 1, can you take anything out? And the answer is no. Now since I can't take anything out, I'm going to do the m times the m here. I need to list all the ways to get a positive 7. That can be negative 1 times negative 7, because to get a positive, I need 2 negatives or 2 positives. Or positive 1 times positive 7. Now, I need these to add to 6. That adds to negative 8, and that adds to positive 8. This one does not work, has a special answer. This one is called prime, because there's no way to factor that one. At least not by this section. We would have to use a special formula because it's prime. Always check your answer, multiply it back through to make sure you get what you started with.